Our major project in Nicaragua was to dig a trench that stretched from the town of El Chanco to a well that was 6 miles away. We had to dig the trench so long because this was the closest well that wasn't contaminated by sulfur. Because the trenches also had to be dug 4 feet deep, we only got 300 to 400 feet done while we were there. Still, the project provided us and the Nicaraguans with an enormous sense of accomplishment. The project also allowed us to work alongside the people of Nicaragua, to sweat alongside them and to connect with them even if we didn't speak the language. Even though I had experienced this sort of work last year, it was still humbling to see how hard they worked and how much of themselves they gave to the project.
On one of the days we were in Nicaragua, we went to a handicapped orphanage. When we arrived, it was really sad seeing all the kids and adults. While we were there, I spent most of my time with a 19-year-old who had cerebral palsy. His name was Juan Carlo. He loved it when I rubbed his head. Although he couldn't talk, we communicated through smiles and laughs. He and I sat there and held hands, and I patted his head.
I can't help but think that if Jesus were there in Nicaragua, he would have spent time with those kids. He would have accompanied them and encouraged them, tried to make them laugh. He would have laughed with them. And it's something that I'm really glad that I was able to do with them. We were able to just be with them that day, and that's something that he would have done as well.
I'll give you everything. As your servant, I'll clothe the naked. As your disciple, I'll feed the hungry. As your child, I'll live the gospel in all the things I do.
One day, I was fortunate enough to be part of the group that delivered animals. We went to a huge hen house where we had to catch 90 hens and 9 roosters. Then, we loaded them on the truck and traveled 2 hours to a small village. When we finally got there, tons of families came out to see us. One woman came towards us with a huge embrace. As she said, "Gracias," I looked into her eyes and saw more gratitude than I had ever known. Something that seemed so simple to me had meant so much to this woman and her family.
On the 4th day, I joined a small group and traveled to the remote village of Villa Esperanza. I took the kids aside and entertained them that day. I had brought a bag of toys with me to give out to the kids. As we played, I was surprised to see that all of these kids were being open and friendly with a complete stranger.
During the week I spent in Nicaragua, my entire outlook on life shifted. I met women who were overcome with gratitude at the gift of a rooster, and children who were filled with excitement just at the sight of visitors. In every moment I spent in Nicaragua, I felt these people pour their hearts out in love and thanksgiving toward me. These people had so little by American materialistic standards, yet they possessed a joy much greater than any I had ever witnessed in America. And as the Nicaraguan people shared this joy with me, I found myself feeling incredibly close to the Lord. I am convinced that throughout this experience, I received much more than I gave.
Take my hands, make them as your own. Take my feet, walk with those alone.